Okay, everybody, welcome back to Chat with a Hat. Now, I have a very impressive young woman to talk with this afternoon. Her name's Imogen Radburn from south coast of New South Wales, racing in the Formula Fords. And she is definitely one of the most impressive young women that I've ever met. I ran into you down at Phillip Island. Was it? Where did we bump into each other, Imogen?
Tasmania. Tasmania.
Tasmania. That's right. I remember it was cold. Um, yeah. So, welcome, Imogen. Welcome to the chat.
Thank you.
Okay, great, wonderful. So, you're a very busy young lady, very busy, not just car racing. So, let's kick off with, as with everybody else, how you all started off. How did you get your four wheels underneath you?
Um, my parents own a transport company, so I was always around cars, and Dad's got heaps of old cars like VKs and HRs and whatnot. So I was always around cars. And then Dad got me a motorbike. So then I wanted to race motorbikes, and Mum said no. So then I found something else, and I went up to a hire go-kart place that was just up the road from Dad's work, and I was there every Wednesday night and every Saturday. So I'd work for Dad, washing trucks, and I'd take that money and go and do hire go-karts. And then they did a Wednesday night race night where you pay $50 and you get 6 sessions or something, 6 races for 20 minutes, I think it was, and you got a dinner as well. So it was pretty cheap, to be honest. And then it came from there. I think like I got 11th and most improved or something. And then Mum continued to say no for 4 years later to get me a proper go-kart. So then Dad went behind Mum's back and actually bought me one. And then yeah, it all started from there. I think it was a really old Arrow go-kart, so it wasn't anything crash hot. Um, First race it blew up, and then yeah, it all started from there, I guess.
You blew up first race.
Yeah, we actually got to Dubbo for the first round of Southern Stars, and the motor blew up. And I'd only been testing like I was doing like training days or something at Wollongong at Kembla Grange. And then we did our first actual race, and it wouldn't start for the first race, and we were so confused. Like we had no clue about go-karts. And then we met a guy, and he was like, "Yeah, it's actually blown up. I will hire your engine." And then yeah, don't know what we finished then. It wasn't anything crash hot, and then yeah, it all just went from there and to
How
where
old
we
were
are
you
today.
then?
It was 3 years ago, so I would have been like 13, 14, just turned 14 maybe.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I did go-karts for 2 years, and then this is my second year as Formula Ford. So I've been in it, I guess you could say, for 4 years. So yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So, your sister races as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does when she can, I guess. She's now playing footy, so at the moment she's playing footy on Saturdays and then races when she can, when it doesn't clash with footy. So I don't think any of her main races, there was only one that clashed because I was in Tasmania. So she just played footy instead. So yeah, she races go-karts as well. She's doing well. Although there's not many kids in her category anymore, which is a bit annoying. So she'll have to go to seniors next year.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, did you end up jumping up to seniors straight away? Did you end up going directly into Formula Ford?
So I went junior light, and then I was not I think I was 1 or 2 kilos heavier, so I went junior mid, then there was no numbers, so I just went junior heavy. Because my the kart chassis I was using was a bit heavier. And it performed really well in junior heavy. So I just raced junior heavy for the first and second year. So when I won my state championships, I was in junior heavy. Turned out there's now more numbers in junior heavy than junior light. So it's not as much of a, oh, you're in junior heavy anymore. Because there's
Mm.
20 plus numbers in junior heavy anyway. So 2020 was when we won the state championship. So it was, yeah, around 2020, started 2020 one that was still in seniors, and then 2022 last year I moved up to seniors, I think it was, because I would have been 16 then. So then I just went into K3, which was senior performance, and then went to tag, and I just got taken out every race. So now I've sort of stopped the go-karts because I was sick of spending more money at a go-kart race than you would at a car race on damage because you just have all these people take you out for no good reason. So
Yeah.
it's just easier just to do some training for kids than rather than race myself. And I've been able to make money while being at a go-kart track instead of spending money there.
Yep. Yep. I hear that. It doesn't matter what you got. If it's got four wheels and a motor, it's not cheap.
No.
So let's move on to that then. So you've won a couple of state titles in the go-karts. And
Yep.
then how did the introduction with Cam Hill Racing happen? How did you end up landing a seat there?
So I got asked by Cam. It's sort of a funny story because I didn't know who he was. I'd never watched the Porsche races. I'd only ever watched supercars, and that was it. I don't even think I watched the Porsches when they were support categories. It was just supercars, that was it. And then Cam rang up Dad after my third state title that I didn't win in Canberra. I was going for it for my second consecutive year. I had an absolutely horrible weekend. I got taken out and everything went wrong. I think we had a motor blew up in the pre-final or something. And we ended up starting like last, which was like I think it was like 14th in junior heavies that weekend. So it was a bit of a horrible weekend. I was mentally stuffed. I had Matt McLean helping me mentally because I was just an emotional mess. And then the pre-final happened, that all went wrong, and then the final happened. All something just clicked, and everything went right for once until we had 7 laps to go. So I went from last to first within I think it was less than 7 laps. And
Jeez.
then I was leading for ages, absolutely leading it, and then pumped it. I was heaps of seconds in front. I remember that, and then I had one kid just think that he was the next world champion and just came down the inside, all four wheels on the dirt, over a curb and just took me clean out. That was the only way he was going to win. Let's just say that.
Uh-huh.
And then now I versus four wheels forward. So yeah, I lost the state title from that. That was a bit of a heartbreaking day. And then yeah, Cam saw that race and he saw how I performed, and then Dad got the phone call on the Monday, and he said I'd like Imogen to drive for me. Rah rah rah. This will be what it involves. I sort of said no. I was like, look, don't really want to make the step up. Don't have the confidence in myself, let alone this is like my second year of go karts. Um, and then Cam said, no, come to a test day. So I went to a test day and he's like, oh, what do you think? And I was like, well, you've got me hooked. Like, I can't really say no now. Then we had to have the sit down chat with mum and dad of what it was going to take and whatnot. And it was a pretty big shock with the budget that you're going to put together. We didn't really think it'd be that high. However, we've pulled it together for the past 2 years. Just mum and dad are stressed. I hate it. But they do it because we love it. So yeah, that's how I landed with Cam, and now I'm driving with him now.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you are knocking on the top 10 in the last this year, especially. I've been watching your results and you're just on the edge of the 10 at the moment. So won't be
Yeah,
much before
bit
you're
of a pain.
punching right in the middle.
It's always one or two.
Yeah.
But the category at the moment, like as Cam said, that last race, that's the closest it's been in years. Like these recent years, it hasn't been as close as it is at the moment. So to
This was at
just be
Winton.
in that top, yeah, at Winton, Cam was watching because he wasn't there, and he said that's the closest race I've seen in years. Like to be in that top 12, top 11 sort of stage, literally one person makes a mistake and that could be six out. Like, so we're all pretty close. So that's a good feeling that you're nearly there. But obviously there's more improvements to make.
Well, you've got more of the field behind you than in front of you at the moment, because I think you guys are running around with what 25, 30 cars.
Yes, it depends where we are. Recently it's only been around 20 cars. But say when the Kents come with us, there's about 30 of us. So it just depends where we are. Because if you go to a Victoria State title, you get more kids there than you do at a national race. So depends where you're racing.
Mm. Yeah, that's fantastic. So that was it. That was Winton last weekend. I was not there. I was shooting off to Darwin to chase some crocodiles for the week. and wait for the supercars to roll in. And so I watched that on Blendline TV, which is fantastic now that we've actually got Blendline doing their free to air streaming. So now it's more accessible and more people are available to like catch it. And heaps of people are watching it just on their laptop or their telly or whatever. There's lots of interest now in state racing. Mainly, I think because supercars are only doing 12 rounds a year. So everyone's hanging for something to go around a circuit. And your categories, you guys with the TCRs, the Formula Fords, and the sports sedans, and filling the gap just nicely with the Trans Ams as well.
Yeah.
Currently, then, with your Formula Ford career, where are you moving for? What's your goal next?
Within Formula Ford or after Formula
All
Ford?
of it. Like you're starting your career now. You've only been going for realistically, this is what, your fourth year?
Yeah. With COVID, I guess you could say that wiped out 8 months.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
we lost a lot of time with that. But I guess we'll probably be doing Formula Ford next year, depending on the budget and whatnot. I'm hoping to get at least top three, top five championship wise. And then, like I've always said to mum and dad, if I don't make supercars, I'll be happy to just race a Porsche around and compete in Carrera Cup. But obviously I'm going to do Michelin Sprint Challenge before that.
Mm.
Being with Cam's team, they've done it all before, so stick with them and they know what they're doing. They've had Tom do it, they've had Cam do it, they've had Cam do it on his own with just his dad. So it's sort of that whole you've got your team and hopefully I can follow Cam up in the ladders that he's done. Obviously he did
Well, he knows
the
what he's doing, doesn't he?
yeah, he did the Formula Ford and I think he did TCR at 286 for a bit and then he went into his Porsches and that's where it all evolved. So yeah, I'd love to either do what Tom Sargent's doing, how he's went overseas. That's just incredible. Like just an Aussie kid and he's already top two, top three, I think, in the championship over there. So it's really cool to see the people that you've been in a team with and that you've known really well to see where they've gotten. So it's broadened my career goals. I could guess you could say there's three different paths that I take. Whether it go overseas, like how Tom has, stick down the Porsche way, or try and get a supercar seat. But I think supercar seat's a lot harder than it used to be these days with not many drives.
Exactly, exactly. That's it's a lot of young drivers like yourself with massive raw talent, and it unfortunately just comes down to dollars at the end of the day. It's a pay to play sport. So until we can
I feel
find you
like
some,
these days they've all got to pay their way in. So if I can get the people behind me to sponsor and whatnot, obviously my avenues open up a lot more. But it's just going to be what the budget can do.
so who are your sponsors currently? Have you got a few people backing you in at the moment?
Yeah, I got a major silent sponsor. So I got him supporting me, and then I've got Lloyd's Auctions. They've also sponsored me since the start of go-karts, like 4 years ago. They gave me their card at a Bathurst round when I was younger, and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna get you to sponsor me." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, ring us up, and we'll sponsor you when you start racing." And then they've been on forever since the start. Then we got some small ones. So I got my swim coach since I was about 6 months old. Sean, she's now sponsoring me as she owns a rental business now, real estate business now. And then
Give her a plug.
let me, so I don't forget them all. 'Cause that would be the worst thing ever. I've got some local gyms sponsoring me. I've also got New Chem Australia, which is they are a chemical business next door to my dad, so I was lucky to have them on board. And then Truckers Toy Store, which is a store that sells all the truck, I guess you could say, stainless steel and lights and truck accessories. Obviously being with Dad's transport company, we're lucky to get them on board. We got Parbury Consulting, which is a Canberra business that my nan used to work for. So now, or she knew them or something. So now I've got them on board. And then Budget Petrol as well. They're a known company around. And they've been on board since the start of Formula Ford. And then I got espresso boy as well, which is the guys that I work for. And then obviously I got karting ones, but they're different to the Formula Ford ones.
Well, we'll go into that a little bit because you did just mentioned espresso boys, the donuts, and we'll lead into what does your daily slash weekly look like for a young person like you? You do more work than most of my mates do in their normal day job, let alone having to do as much as you do. So give us a rundown on what Imogen looks like on a Monday to Friday and then throw racing in on top.
Monday's a bit of a chill day, if I'm being honest, because I finished school at 2. Today I finished at 12 because I had a free period last. So I sort of took that few hours off. And then went and hung out with my boyfriend for the afternoon and did our assessments because he's sick. So he's putting it on at the moment. And then Tuesday to Thursday, I'm working from 4 to 5 a.m. till about 8 o'clock. Then I have a shower, get ready for school at work, have breakfast there, head to school till 4 or 3 o'clock. I'm doing a uni program at the moment, Tuesday afternoons for an hour and a half. Then I have to come home, somehow do sim and gym for at least a few hours each. I try to be asleep by 8 9 o'clock. Otherwise I don't get up very well for school, for work in the morning at 4 a.m. again. So yeah, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's just wherever it fits in to fit in my social life, family life, and then get some few extra shifts. No doubt at work, there's always something to be done. So yeah, busy.
Busy. So from 4
And
a.m.
then
till
starting,
8 p.m.
meant to be studying too.
Sorry, what was
So
that?
yeah, 4 a.m. meant to be studying as well in that time frame, but
Yeah, because you're still trying to knock off year 12.
yeah, I've got exams coming up in the next few weeks for our trials. So that's, I think, less than a month. So pretty close.
So you're running a job in the morning, you're running school during the day, you chuck your uni program on top, then you got to do some sim work as well as some gym work, and that's all before you even get to go car racing itself.
Yeah. Yep.
This is why everybody, I'm telling you, she's one of the most impressive young women I've ever met. This takes dedication and commitment. It doesn't just happen. You don't bludge your way through and succeed. So it's a lot of effort and it's a lot of dedication that you're putting straight into it. What do your friends think about it?
um, I guess you could say I've lost a few on the way. They've all got their opinion on my car racing. A few of them have turned around and said, well, if she can get extra ATAR points for driving a race car, why can't I get extra ATAR points for driving my car to school? So I sort of said, see you later to them. So yeah, I sort of just stick around Jack at school because it's the best thing for me. Otherwise, I've got someone else's opinion in my ear, where I know that he'll support me the whole way. So yeah, we sort of stick to our own thing and see our friends outside of school. And they're really supportive, the ones that I've met outside of school. So I've got a few close ones and then a few mutual ones, we'll say.
Yeah. Are you close up and down the lane with all of your fellow competitors?
I guess it's a bit different for me because I'm the only female in the category. So I think we're all around that age where it's like, oh, I don't know. I get along with some of them, but then there's others that I haven't really spoken to. Um, so yeah, I guess as it revolves, like I've only been in that national category for the year, which has only been 5 rounds. So it's sort of you only see them there.
Mm,
But from what I know, they're all really good guys that I've versed. None of them try to push me around as much as I guess you could say, as some people would be like, oh, she gets pushed around a lot. But then again, I sort of hold my own ground, and especially the boys in my team know that I'll tell them straight how it is.
good. Good. Yeah, I was going to touch on that. Like you just mentioned, you're the only uh, female in your category at the moment. And how have you found being a young woman in car racing? Have you had any let's call it for what it is, any dumb sexism attitudes coming at you purely because you're just a girl and you're not like one of the boys as such. Is how have you come across that and dealt with that as you're starting off in your career?
Look, go-karting, I copped it. Go-karting, I got abused by dads, two of them majorly. That was a big eye opener for me. Obviously he tried abusing me, then he tried abusing my dad, so that was a big no go. And then cars, you only really get it from spectators. I haven't found that the competitors that I've versed yet, like, have had an issue with it or have said stuff. Obviously you get your comments of, oh, which guy are you gonna chase as you get called the screwdriver or whatever. But obviously I guess I'm sort of lucky because I'm not one of nothing against the girls that are in media or whatever, but I'm one of the drivers. Like it's not like I'm working for a team or whatnot. You're sort of that driver, so you're one of them. So if they're gonna say something, they can't really say much because they're one of you as well. Like we're all competitors. Once the helmet's
Yeah.
on, there's nothing different. However, like spectators, I had it at Tasmania. I had these old guys come up to me and they're like, "Oh, why are you racing? Like a girl's in this." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm actually the only one." And they're like, "Oh, that's a surprise." And I was like, "Well, there's nothing wrong with it." So don't know what the issue is. Like,
Yeah, but
I
it
said
is
there's actually two
1980 down
girls.
in Tassie.
Yeah, yeah. But like even at the Adelaide race, I had these like primary school kids come up to me when I was in the Aussie car, and they were like, "Oh, how come you're in a race suit?" They were like, I reckon they were at least 8, and these were girls, and I was like, "Oh, because I'm racing, like I'm one of the drivers," and they're like, "No, you're not. Girls don't race. Like there's no girls that race cars." And I was like, "Yeah, well, there is, but you clearly haven't seen them up close and personal. Like you wouldn't even realize. Like my car's green, it's not pink." So not
Mm.
many people realize that it's a girl driving. Like my helmet's not even pink. I think it's got a tiniest bit of pink that you'd go, "Oh, maybe," but yeah, I guess it just comes
Well, when
and
you
goes.
spoke to
And
those young girls, those little 8-year-olds and stuff who obviously have a preconception, an incorrect idea that women don't race because that's what they think. Were you able to talk to them and actually fill them in and say, hang on?
yeah, I sort of explained, and I sort of got some pictures up, like Maddie Stewart, for example, and whatnot. Like, they're sort of girls, and Courtney Prince, and that they're sort of girls that I look up to. And I was like, look, these are two girls for an example that are also racing. And then I used Charlotte as well because she's an Aussie car. So I was like, look, there is girls racing, like it's able to be done, but this is the issue. Like, not many people realize that we're out there, let alone we're giving it a go. They sort of just see it as we're trying to get with drivers or tracing the drivers, so we're going to race. So I guess that's a big stereotype that is still around.
Mm.
But
But it's
yeah,
really important that we break that down, especially with those younger girls who just don't think it's an achievable option.
and I think a big thing that's helped the younger generation, I guess you could say, is like programs like Girls on Track, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I did the one in the F1 at Melbourne, and it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. The stuff I did with them, you wouldn't be able to pay enough money to be able to go and visit two teams whilst being in that corporate area where we were, um, and being so close to the cars. Like we were literally walking through their garages and seeing everything from the ground up. So, and there was even girls changing tires on the F1 cars. Like it's not something you can pay for to be able to do. Um, and I think Priyanka and her team have really done a really good job of the opportunities that they give us. And there's a Facebook community page for girls to be able to join to know what's going on and when the next one is. And yeah, I think that's a program that's opened a lot of girls' eyes up, and it'd be really good, I think, if they could get into some schools and be able to help break that sort of bias.
Absolutely.
I mean, for my primary school, I'm hoping to be able to head up to my primary school and take my race car up and just be able to say, look, I was once you here. And then if you do something that's different, it's not going to change anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, no. And I think you should. It'd be great if you did, if you have the opportunity and the time. I mean, when you can fit it in. But
Yeah.
but go if you do go and talk at a primary school and try to get the younger girls as the older ones that are around their 8, 9, 10 years old, as they're thinking maybe sports coming up, what sport would I want to do? Start them off with go-karting. You can talk from experience and then show them there's actually a pathway.
Yeah, exactly. And we're trying to get a motorsport park down here, so it sort of makes sense to do it um sooner
You can
rather than
lead the
later.
way.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Actually, speaking of Charlotte, I ran into her up in Darwin with the Aussie cars. So I'm actually going to catch up with her shortly for a chat as well. Um, once again, she's just knocking on the top 10. Like she had her goal
She had a
set
lot
for her.
better weekend than she has recently, so it was really
Sorry?
good to see her. So she's had a really good weekend in Darwin compared to she has
Yes,
recently. It was really good to see that she was back where she's meant to be, not
correct.
where she has been. So
Yeah, when there's like 40 cars on track and she's knocking on like 12th, 11th, that kind of thing, there's 2/3 of the field behind her. So,
and they're fun
and
cars to drive. They're one that I'd happily jump back in with a heartbeat.
they look
Um,
mental. I've never driven one. Justin Ruggiero, I used to hang out with occasionally on track when he's doing driver training now. But when he was in Aussie cars after Super Twos, I met him up at Winton and we caught up for the next few years on and off at track. And he gave me a really good insight into the actual Aussie car, how it actually works, and the rules behind it, the penalties, the balance of performance penalties and restrictions and all of that, just to try to make it as competitive as it can be. So you can't just go and blow the field away by pouring money into it. Um,
exactly.
yeah, try to keep the racecraft up. But it's honestly up in Darwin, nobody left the track when they were on. They never do. One of the crowd favorite categories because the racing is legitimately so good. It is door to door. It is
It's
slipstreaming.
door
It
to
is
door, and you can
racecraft.
up doors, and you can have bonnets come off, and you still race. Like it's not like some of your races where they're like, "No, bonnets are off, rear bumpers off, got to like you got a penalty."
Yeah.
With that, you could have everything fall off, and you can still drive. You have four wheels and the engine. They wouldn't care. Like the funnest things ever, and everyone in that community of Aussie cars it's like you're one big family. I was so shocked at Adelaide when I went and raced there. Like there was guys doing data and footage with me. I was like, this is not normal. Like, what are we doing? And they're like, no, this is how we do it. We're Formula Ford. It's very hush hush, competitive sort of environment. So it's definitely one if you can get into the category. I'd happily push for people to do it because I don't think it'll be going anywhere, and it's one of the funnest categories. It's like driving a big go kart, just with so much
Absolutely.
like they just roll and you feel so much in them while you drive, and they're so easy to drive. I found like compared to a Formula Ford, I jumped in this thing and I was like, oh, this is like driving a road car, where other people would be the opposite. But obviously, Formula Ford, it's one of your hardest categories, and then it just makes it easier when you jump into another category.
Yeah. Would you think of having a go at an S5000?
Oh, the budget's huge. I found out how much a round was. I was like, oh, that's half my yearly budget just for Formula Ford.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, a test date would be awesome. Like I'd happily drive any car that I could. The more laps I can get under myself, the better, no matter what car it's in. Um,
What about that combine that GRM put on? Would you put your hand up for that with Ambrose?
yeah, it looks really cool what they're doing. Like especially they've is that the one that they did where they had like the six different cars? Is that a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
one?
yeah. They take half a dozen
Yeah,
young drivers down there and they'll have an
yeah.
S5000, a TCR car. They'll have a,
When I saw when I saw Jude do it, I was like, oh, I didn't even know this was a thing. So yeah, definitely, I definitely put my hand up for it because obviously I've always said to mum and dad, if I had to choose one supercar team, it'd be Erebus. Bit
love your
biased there
work.
with Betty, but yeah, it's just I don't know what stuck with me. Like since Anton was there, I always loved it, and then Anton left, and then I've still always went for Erebus, and now I'm going for Matt Stone as well. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's
But you kind
just
of
you
have to
need
there.
those, yeah, you need those teams that have the funding and support behind them to be able to give those opportunities to new upcoming drivers. Otherwise, it's always going to be the same drivers over and over again.
Absolutely, and that's what we're starting to see now. I mean, they haven't quite got the parity sorted out in the main game, but we are seeing different winners. We are seeing different drivers up the front competing. We're seeing that in the other categories as well, the TCR especially. I mean, Bailey's killing it at the moment with the Hyundai, but that little pack up the top there that are going with him, that top 4 or 5, they're all just cutting each other's lunch corner to corner.
Yeah. And
It's
Bailey's another South Coast kid, so maybe he's only 2 hours away from me. So
He's a good head, little Bales. I've got a lot of time for him. I go and annoy him in the pits every time I turn up and just hang out in his garage for the weekend and just pester him. But he's doing really well. And he hasn't even got the new car. That's all Josh's. So see how they
yeah.
go for the rest of the season, as long as he can keep it up. Rightio. So, what else have we got to cover? So we know, donuts. Fill us in. You make your own donuts, don't you?
Yeah, I'm the
Your car
decorator.
is powered by donuts.
Yeah, literally. Um, so yeah, I guess you could say I'm a donut decorator. Um, I get to tomorrow morning I'm going to do it. It's my favorite job. Like I'll happily jump in and decorate donuts. So I'll decorate around 400 of them every morning. And I'll tell you about the story last weekend later on because that was wicked. So yeah, I'd go in, melt all the icing and the chocolate, and then dip them, drizzle them with whatever it's got to go on, stick their little chocolate or whatever in the middle, and then drizzle it with chocolate or whatever goes on top. And then yeah, there you go. You got your sourdough donut that we make. So they're very popular. Let's just say that.
Perfect. But you've got your own little range, don't you?
Yeah, I've got my own little race car range. So I've got my boss gets my Formula Ford printed onto a edible sticker that goes in the middle of the donut with green icing usually, or it's been yellow at the moment because we've got a honeycomb flavoring because up the side of my car it's got honeycomb paint work done. So we put honeycomb flavoring on it with a dark chocolate drizzle, so it's a bit like a crunchy. Um,
Nice.
and then there I did a green one as well, which was vanilla flavor with Milo on top with little race cars that you get in like your Allen's packs.
Yep. Beautiful.
So yeah,
Awesome.
although last weekend we sold about I think it was like 800 in 3 hours at a beer and barbecue festival that my sister and I went and worked at. It was meant to go for 8 hours. We were there and sold out by 3 hours, and we had to get extra delivered. So it was a very busy night that Saturday night. We'll just say that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's way cool. So it all goes in the bank to pay for tires, yeah? Tires and fuel.
Yep, that exactly.
Yeah, wonderful. What was the other thing I was going to talk about? There was one other thing. Definitely. I've just gone a little bit blank. All right, you lead away. So we covered off the school, you're doing exams. We've covered off your gym and sim training. Oh, sim training. Do you have a sim at your own house? You have your own sim?
Yeah, I don't really love it. I'm not a computer little nerd or whatever. Never grown up with gaming consoles, so it's literally a chore to get me on that simulator.
So
Um,
what tracks do you have on it? Like what do you race in the sim?
um, I just sort of use the tracks I'm going to because I try and spend as least time as I can on it because I really don't enjoy it. So like Sandown coming up in a month, I'll be on it. Um, I need to get it fixed at the moment because it's a bit broken. Don't know what's happened to it. It's sort of just shut down. So my cousin will have to come have a look at that. But I've got all the local ones that we race at. So like Winton and Sandown and Phillip Island, the Bend, Morgan Park. I had the Adelaide track on it when I did the Aussie car. So I found it's helped me a lot, but I just need to get on it like for longer.
Mm. So that'll increase when you get closer to a round. You'll just spend more time on the sim, getting
Look,
your
yeah,
corners.
I try and spend more time on it before like that 2 weeks prior, 3 weeks prior.
Hmm.
I try and just increase it from 1 hour to 1.5 hours. But I usually try and do 20 minutes flat out, like you're in a race.
Hmm.
And I give myself a little break and I do it again however many times I can before I'm just knackered. Before my eyes start burning, because that's what I find when I go on the computer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's pretty common. I hear that a lot with people doing sim. It's just the vertigo and the visual overstimulation. It's just hard focusing on the screens.
yeah, exactly.
So when's your next race? So we said we're about halfway through your calendar at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, I think
So
we're just
far.
over halfway. Yeah.
So
So
fill us in when we can see you racing at a track next and
got Sandown coming up in August.
August.
So yeah, that's August the 11th till the 13th. And then we got September, which is Phillip Island from the 22nd to the 24th. And then we got our last round at the Bend, which is the 13th to the 15th. And then we're done for the year. So
So what's your
a
favorite
little
track?
break.
What's your favorite track that you've gotten to?
I love Winton and Morgan Park. I don't know what it is about it. I just love tight, short tracks. Love Adelaide. Like I don't know what it is with Adelaide. I did it with no brakes twice, so that was sort of a thrill. But then obviously like
What do you mean
SMP
you had
and
no brakes?
my brake failed. My brakes failed twice in the Aussie
That's
car,
handy.
so I did practice. I did 2 laps of practice. Brake failed. Then I did qualifying. It was all right. Race one, and then the last race when I was from 28th to 14th, they failed, so I had to let go and go back to 16th for that race. So yeah, I'd love to
Jeez.
go back when I've got brakes and have had done a test day under my belt other than one.
Yeah,
Um, so I can actually know what I can do. So yeah, I reckon Winton and Park are my favorite.
excellent,
Yeah,
excellent,
the
wonderful.
the long ones I find it hard to get my head around it that quick. The long ones I'm like, oh, it's another corner, especially the bend. Like I think I'll love it once I completely understand the track, but at the moment I need to get on that sim and do a bit more hours at that track.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Well, I haven't got myself to the bend yet for an actual car race. I just don't look. It doesn't look like it's much fun in the middle of winter when the wind's blowing in 14 different directions and it's freezing
No, it's
cold.
freezing. It's freezing. I have
Yeah,
to go there for a test day in less than 2 weeks, so I'm going to be freezing down there.
yeah, yeah. Beanie up, race suits, the whole deal.
Yeah,
Jumpers, jackets.
my green puffer jacket.
That's the one. Alrighty, so all right, let's just get rid of that's it. That's awesome. That's really explains exactly how you've started, how you're going, and where you're going to go to. And you literally got your head screwed on that well that you're going to put a lot of other drivers to shame, to be perfectly honest. The ones that aren't taking it as seriously or think they don't have to put in as much effort, uh, you're going to blast right past them. 100%. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
Thank
So
you.
let's get to a couple of serious questions. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Um, Look, if I make it at home, like we do homemade pizzas, I'll happily put it on because I eat it out of the jar anyway. But it's got to be only on a ham and cheese. It can't be on anything else.
Okay, so that's qualified. So it's a Hawaiian only, but not in a chicken Hawaiian
Yeah,
or a
yeah, not like meat
supreme or
lovers or
something.
whatever.
Jam
No,
it into like a tandoori
yeah,
or something like that.
no,
No,
no way. I literally only eat ham and cheese, cheesy garlic, and meat lovers, or if I make my own at home. So,
that's fair. That's fair. Are you a dog or a cat person?
oh, I got both at home. So depends what mood I'm in, I think. I think I'm more of a dog person, but we got this new kitten called Ziggy, and he's got a personality of his own. Like he knows how to catch a football and everything. So him, I'll go a cat person, but dogs overall, I think.
Yeah, fair call. Fair call. Do you play any other sport? I know you don't have time now, but do you follow sports? Do you have a footy team or a cricket team or?
I don't really have a footy team, but if I had to choose a footy team, would probably be the Dragons because that's who my partners everyone goes for. But I used to dance 4 times a week for 3 hours every afternoon. Um, so yeah, I went from dancing, and then I used to swim twice a week in the mornings for an hour and a half and do 5Ks. So yeah, when the Olympics is on and the Commonwealth Games and that, I'll be watching swimming all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really it, I think. I don't really follow other sports that much.
So who's your inspiration and your heroes in car racing then? Who do you want to model yourself on? Oh, not necessarily model
Um,
yourself, just who's your favorites?
I think Chaz Mostert stands out to me a lot. Um, just because at my old school, I was fairly bullied a lot by the whole cyberbullying and whatnot, and for liking the trucks and whatnot. So that was following him. It was always I've always grown up following him because of the stuff that he stands up for and
Yep, the
the
no
no social
social hate.
hate.
We're a very big supporter of Chaz with the no social hate
Yeah.
campaign.
Um, and like I even met him at Tasmania properly when he came to the Formula Fords, and I actually said to him, how do you deal with the negative stuff and the negative thoughts that us drivers get when you don't have that confidence in yourself, when you're just not performing?" Because I found that I was watching a podcast with him and Rihanna, and he wasn't going well in Formula Ford until it was his third year. And I guess I could say that I was sort of in that boat because you sort of get out of a go-kart where you're winning everything and then you get into a car and it's you got to start all again. Like you just can't magically get there unless you've got all the money in the world and can test as much as you can, or you got that natural talent of next level. And he said you just got to have the fun in it. If you lose that fun, it's just gonna go worse. You just got to be happy that you're doing it. There's other kids that aren't even able to eat and drink, so I guess that sort of opened my mind up a bit more. That yeah, I'm doing something that not many people are. And just to keep pushing, which I've been able to. Since having that conversation with him, it's sort of risen my headspace a bit. And then obviously Cam I look up to a lot because he's done it just him and his dad on his own. Like not many teams do that. And to see what they've got on now. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, I reckon Chaz is my main driver that I follow.
That's fantastic. Well, I will give you a tip. Your favorite main driver was at Monsoons on Sunday after the racing up in Darwin with all the other
Yeah.
drivers in the nightclub. And he legit was on best behavior. There were some other drivers up there that were definitely not on their best behavior, but he practices what he preaches up there. So he kept himself nice and tidy for that evening. So he is a good bloke. I've met him plenty of time at the back of the pits, and yeah, he's definitely a fan favorite, regardless of what team you follow. You just can't not like him.
Exactly. And he's always got something happy to say or do a silly little handshake or whatever towards the camera. So but you got the other drivers that can't even speak to the camera. So I think that sort of shows that he's not only doing it because he loves it, but he also gives back to the people that keep supercars going. Like the
Yes,
fans are the ones that pay the money to get in. They're not the ones that are happily just racing a car around. So
yeah, we need more drivers with that kind of personality in the lane that actually appreciate the fan aspect of it, not just give the fans lip service, but actually stop and talk and show some respect towards the fans who are paying their money to wear their jerseys and their team polos and whatever. And they're not just an inconvenience or just to be shuffled off. Just here's your signing card and move on.
yeah, and it's not like it's $20 a shirt anymore. It's like nearly
No,
$75 a shirt. I was looking at some the other week at Tassie. Oh, not even Tassie. Where was I? I can't even remember. I was looking and I was like to Mum, holy moly, this has gone up so much. Like even at the F1 when I was there, I was looking at some merchandise from there. I'd never been to their farm before. I couldn't believe how much a jump was. I was like, no way. But
They were
then you got your
selling
fans that are happy to pay it.
they were selling hats, just caps, for $90.
It's crazy. But then people
It's
to
it's
pay it.
big business. Merchandise, all that money goes to the teams, you see. So it doesn't go to supercars. If a team sells a jersey or a polo or a t-shirt or a jacket, even a $10 stubby holder, all that merchandising money just goes to the team to help pay for the team as well. So it's in their best
Yeah,
interest to, you know,
increase it.
promote promote your team through the merchandise, but also make your drivers accessible to also sell the team, which then sells more merchandise because people like your drivers because they hang out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you get some drivers out there that aren't interested in talking to fans. They just want to get in, drive the car, do their job, and then shoot off to the truck and
Yep.
just hide. Whereas you got other guys more than happy to chat, and people will naturally gravitate towards personalities that are friendly. And if it
And
happens to
Will
be
Brown's like that. Like Will's very friendly and happy to have a chat. I think he's one of
absolutely.
the stands out a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And and it is a juggling act. I appreciate that too. I mean, they are there to do a job, and they do have to focus, and they do have to recover, and they do have to do all of those debriefs and pre-briefs and all of that, as well as have their own space. But at the same time, you've got to balance that with the fans, and that's our team do it very well. So
Yeah, definitely.
just remember when you're all rich and famous and driving like Indy or Porsches or something, when we're at the back of the pits, you got to stop and say hello. Don't forget us all.
I won't.
When you're at the pointy end of the lane all the time.
Yeah, let's hope I'm rich and famous racing a car. If I could be rich and racing a car, I'd happily do that. But I don't think racing a car, unless you're overseas or something, from what I've heard, you're never going to be as rich. You've always got money to spend on it.
It's always money. Yeah, it is. The higher up you go, the more it costs. But
Yeah,
that's what sponsors are for. So,
exactly.
you give back in other ways, don't you? You do the media, you do the fan engagements, you do the social media aspect of everything. So you become an identity and you have a brand that is now sellable as well as
Yeah.
the talent. Like the talent's on track, but off track, that's where everything's moved to.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to have a brand now. It's like we're having this chat right now. We have this conversation right now. Well, this will go out on the socials and go on the podcast, the Chat with a Hat podcast, and it'll be put up on YouTube, and everybody can watch. And people who might not know who you are now will. And this is
Yeah.
all Anne's fault, by the way. You can blame her.
Funny, I
Cheers.
only met her at the donut shop as well, so that's how it's all evolved.
Yeah, cheers to Anne
I
and
just
Mitchell.
served
Shout
her.
out to Anne. She
Yeah, I served
bailed
her a
me up.
coffee and I said, I really like your shirt. I said, you must follow supercars or something, do you? And it all just came from there. And now she's got my own merchandise. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. She bailed me up and said, "Hang on, you got to go down and find Imogen. She's racing this weekend, and you have to talk to her." And I went, "All right," because I don't want Anne hunting me down either. So it's been a little while since since we've been able to get this chat done, but we finally got there. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. We've got a couple more um, to do with some of the other young girls that are racing around as well. Some of the Formula V's down in Vic. I don't know if you know the girls down there as well. Um, you might have seen them at the circuit every now and again, like Charlie and uh, the name. I had a chat with them the other day. We've got 4 young girls in V's at the moment in Victoria.
You're right.
So
I didn't.
yeah, but it's the most in the country. So there's 4 young girls. Lucy was one of the young girls. So first year. Um, Kelly Egan, I think it was. Hmm. So thank you very much for the chat. We might wrap this one up so we don't just drag you on. You got to go to bed soon before you have to get up at 4 a.m. and
Yeah.
start it all again. But
Yep.
congratulations on your racing so far. Much more success coming your way. I am 100% sure. I have no doubt about that. And I'll catch up with you down in Sandown. You're not going up to QR, are you? You're not doing QR?
No,
No, Sandown's your next round at
yeah,
August.
that's the next one.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I'll catch up with you at all in Sandown and Phillip Island as well. Is that for the Magic? Is that Island Magic?
Don't know. I don't think it is.
No, just
It
another
may
round.
be. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a few rounds to go at Phillip Island already for the rest of this year. Um, and yeah, well, congratulations again. Oh, you didn't even say what car you drive. You're in a 1 point. What's your car? Your chassis?
Miguel.
Cool.
I'm in a SJ12 Miguel.
Yeah, beautiful. Green with the honeycomb airbrushing
Yep.
down the side of it.
Yeah, my panel beater hated doing that, but it's fine.
It looks good. Just don't bend it so it doesn't do it again.
Oh, I know. I've already got to get him to do the whole side pod and respray it for next year, and he's not impressed with me, but he'll do it.
He'll love it. He loves doing it. He just makes fuss.
Exactly.
So once again, Imogen, thank you very much. This is Imogen Radburn from New South Wales, racing in the Formula Forwards. And good luck for the rest of this year.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here.
No worries. We'll talk soon.
Will do.